I think my worst experiences are usually quite solitary ones. The life of an actor, especially at the beginning, feels solitary, and you're going up for auditions and going up for different parts, and repeatedly are politely declined, sometimes impolitely declined, often. And the door will be closed in your face and you won't know why. And that moment is always a puzzling one, because the natural instinct is to take it personally. And often the decision isn't personal. But you feel as though, I certainly felt as though I had failed, and you can get very despondent. The challenge is to find a way of negotiating that sense of rejection, that sense of failure, without it eroding your sense of self and your own specific talent and your own curiosity in the work. I think it doesn't matter at what stage you're at in your creative life or in your career, but people will always have an idea of who they think you are, and often it's inaccurate or not wholly accurate, and you mustn't let them change your own sense of who you are. You have to plough your own furrow, because only you know, and only you know what you had to go through to deliver that performance in that audition, or on that stage, or in that short film or television series. And protect that with everything you have, because all those people who think they know who you are didn't do the work, and they don't know. So have that faith in yourself. I've been sort of acting for as long as I can remember. Me and my sisters and my cousins used to write plays in the summer holidays together, and build the costumes and the sets and write a sort of story, and they were completely outlandish and fantastical, and then we'd perform them for our parents at the end of the summer. And then it got serious, or at least I allowed myself to commit to acting as a profession, which I would do for the rest of my life, I hoped. When I was at Cambridge University, I was there reading classics, and I was in a production of Tennessee Williams' Streetcar Named Desire. Lorraine Hamilton, who was a talent agent in London at the time, came to see it, and I was in my second term, aged 19 years old, and she came to see it. She wrote me a letter and said, I'd love to meet you in London. So I got on the train, and I remember going into her office, and she represented Emma Thompson and Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie, and I was like, wow, you've got a hell of a list here. And she was so sweet, and she said, Tom, I think you can do this if you want to, and I'd love to be your agent. And I was just amazed and incredulous, and it was really that moment, being in that production, that was when I gave myself permission to want to do it as much as I think I always had. I think I'd always dreamt of it, but I'd never given myself the permission until that point. And then I was off to the races, I was flying. There was nothing else I was going to do. I'm always quite wary of giving advice, because I think people generally like to find their own way. And all the advice I can think of is much better than any advice I could give. It's Shakespeare's "To thine own self be true." The more authentic and honest you are in your interaction with the world, both professionally and personally, the better you will be placed to do the kind of work which will touch others and move their hearts and minds. Because if you mean it, the chances are it's going to mean something to somebody else.